Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins, broadcasting from Merritt, British Columbia, covering the entire Commonwealth's affordability issues and covering the housing crisis and job crisis. And it's all the same pattern in every country in the Commonwealth. From New Zealand to Australia to the UK to Canada, and even down to the western United States. Welcome to Alberta. So for a lot of people that don't know, living out in Australia, Alberta is our Texas of Canada, one of the biggest oil-producing provinces in the country, the biggest oil-producing provinces in the country. We got pipelines going in and out, and we supply crude, and we are like the Lone Star province of Canada. Just about 7-hour east drive, 6-hour east drive to the Alberta border from where I am here in Merritt, British Columbia. So Alberta housing taking off. So what is happening? Alberta homes sales up 5% year over year. So tonight you're in for a treat, guys. We're going to be playing Connect the Dots, and we're going to get to the problem with this. So are wages going up in Alberta? I don't think so. I think wages have been stagnant for the last, 20, 30 years. Are wages in line with inflation there? I don't think so either. So let's find out. Province-wide housing sales in Alberta on MLS system in September recorded a 5% increase over September last year, but year-to-date sales remain slightly below last year's levels. So year-to-date sales aren't there, but housing is still going up in price. And we've had this problem in Vancouver and Toronto and other cities in Canada that have experienced an increase in property, the price of property. Adding to growing stability in Alberta was a decline in new listings, reducing the months of inventory from 8 last September to 7 last month. So it's basically how long the inventory takes to flip or how much inventory is on the market from sales versus listings, right? Province-wide prices continue to trend downward, partially caused activity in the larger centers where the lower end of the market is accounting for a larger share of the sales activity. So lower end as in condos, townhouses, lofts, things like that. Basically, the lower end of the market always see this spectrum of people jumping on. And we saw this in Vancouver, where everyone would be jumping on to the lowest end of the market because that's all they could afford to get into, right? And we saw this in Toronto in 2017. When Vancouver put the foreign buyers tax in, half the people went to Seattle or to King County, Washington. The other half went east to Toronto because they didn't have a foreign buyers tax at the time. And look what happened in Toronto in 2017, if you guys remember that. Holy crap. September's numbers should help support more balanced conditions, but there are still lingering economic fundamentals hindering a full return to balance, says Anne-Marie Laurie, chief economist with the Alberta Real Estate Association. The province continues to struggle with job losses. That's not what's happening in the other article I just read for you guys, article before this one, how Canada's huge job recorded, huge jobs, biggest since 2012, biggest job boom ever in Canadian history. And then when we got down to the whole nit and gritty of it, we found out that there were public sector jobs, government jobs, that they need to tax the private sector more to pay these people in government. That's how it works, people. This is impacting the housing demand, particularly in areas like Red Deer, says Lurie. Meanwhile, some markets are facing challenges with supply gains impacting pricing. The provincial figures are heavily influenced by larger regions, which are starting to trend toward more stable condition, but these improvements are not occurring across all regions of the province. So, overviews of the two largest cities. So let's start with Calgary. With gains in the lower price range, sales activity in the region improved in September compared to a year ago. The improvements in sales are helping the market return to a more balanced conditions, but more significant shifts have been related to the supply and adjustments. Year-to-date, new listings are down 11% this year. So listings on the market compared to less than 1% growth in sales year over year. The combined impact is inventory declines and improvements in the market balance as months of inventory has shifted from then 6 months last September to be slightly more than 5 years this year as oversupply in the market eases. So there's less homes being thrown on the market. People are giving up selling them, basically. There is less downward pressure on prices. However, year-to-date average prices remain more than 4% lower than last year's levels. In Edmonton, this is it. Pay attention here. September sales activity improved over last year's levels and were just below the long-term trends year over date. Sales are comparable to the last year, but has been shift to the type of product sold. Sales activity has improved for product priced below $300,000, which represents 35% of sales have been eased across all other price ranges. So again, jumping on the cheaper market, the cheaper product, right? While new listings in September remained stable compared to the last year, for much of the year, new listings has eased. Reacting to weaker demand and levels of easing prices, this has helped place a downward pressure on inventory levels and slowly pushing the market toward a more balanced condition. So here we go. So Alberta home sales up 5% year over year, but why? I just covered a whole Edmonton homeless situation there a few days back. This is why. Canada would be in a recession without money laundering because of criminals. This is what's estimated money laundering by province, and Alberta takes the cake. Right there. BC so it would be Alberta first, Ontario second, BC third, Prairies fourth, Quebec, and then the Atlantic Canada. This is the estimated amount of money laundering in Canada by region. And it's a lot of wealthy investors from China, not Asia, China. And a lot of people get mad when I say that, but it is. If it was the Russians, I would say it was the Russians. If it was the Arabs, I would say it's the Arabs. It's not. It's the Chinese. And what is happening? There's billions. And how much of it is? They're saying $200 billion. And this represents 2.13% of our GDP. So if it wasn't for criminals, we'd be in a lot of trouble. And there's money laundering as a percent of GDP. Here it is, Alberta. So this is very important, guys. So that's how we connect the dots here sometimes on the channel. And this comes up in the middle of summer, or towards the tail end of summer. Edmonton and surrounding areas see market increase in ghost homes. Back to the laundered money, park in real estate. You're better off with weakening markets and unexpected trade wars. Then, more and more homes across Canada are sitting empty, especially in central and northern Alberta, shows report from a Canadian real estate website. The report points to Homes examined Statistics Canada data and found that between 2006 and 2016, the cities of Grande Prairie, Leduc, and Fort Saskatchewan saw the greatest jump in the share of ghost homes in the entire country. The proportion of vacant residents in each of these cities more doubled, with Grande Prairie topping the list with 181% increase. So that's what's happening, guys. You see Edmonton, Winnipeg, is on there too. More and more cities across Canada. I covered close to 100, 200, maybe 300,000 empty homes across Canada. They don't want to kind of really tell people what it is, but let's connect the dots again. Here we go. Money laundering. Alberta's wins that. And then you're starting to see a pile of ghost homes. Remember this pattern we saw in Vancouver? We saw the same pattern in Vancouver and in Toronto. I mean, heck, you've seen it in Seattle, you've seen it in Sydney, you've seen it in Auckland, you've seen it in Melbourne, you've seen it in London, you've seen it everywhere. London, England, the real London. And anyways, okay. Where is this coming from? How is this happening? It's Canada competing for Canada wants more Chinese. And this article basically is the red flag right here. So, visas are increasing from China to 500,000 per year. Opening more visa offices can help Canada compete for Chinese workers, students, and lucrative tourist business. They're the biggest market in the world. And basically, they're fast tracking them and creating permanent residency faster. If you're, I guess, got the money to come in. And what is that doing to the Canadian proper? It's destroying everything. And what's happened? Well, I'll show you what happened in one of my neighboring cities here. So you go to Douglas Todd here, article, and it goes to this article. Aboriginals and whites leaving Metro Vancouver. So Vancouver is obviously down far west there. Yeah, way down there at the bottom there. Just west of me. 2 hours west of me. And I'm one of these whites, statistically, that left. A net total of 9,345 whites have left Metro for other parts of the province. Okanagan, Vancouver Island, Fraser Valley. And we propped up the pricing in these cities when we came here. So basically, that's what's happening. And that's 2016. In 2017, it was like 15,000. 2018 was like 22,000. 2019, I think they're pushing towards 30, 35,000 white people that have left the city of Vancouver. And what is happening? Well, it's this. Right here. Paris targets vacant homes with 60% tax. Done. France has 107,000 vacant homes in Paris. So this is happening across. Vancouver was sitting on, what was it, 90? Was it 90? Let's tell you right here. Vancouver was, sorry, so, okay. Toronto, Vancouver had 66,000. Toronto had 99,000. So the homelessness, Alberta, I don't know what Alberta has, but I think it's about, in the province of Alberta, maybe 28,000. I'm throwing that out there, especially when you tie back how much money was laundered through Alberta. It was huge. So I would say there's about that much, right? So that's what's happening. We're selling out to the richest bidders, the richest. We're just selling out to the richest people, and we get made fun of because we can't afford our own property in our own country, and that was in condo show. They had a condominium show, Vancouver condominium show in Shanghai, and they were making fun of Canadians that they can't afford their own property. And yeah, that really kind of pushed my buttons, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Edmonton's the next one on the chopping block, in my opinion. We're already seeing the price wars right now in Montreal. In Quebec, you're seeing price wars now and bidding wars, and it's going out of control. And then you take a step back, you're already seeing it happening in Halifax and Newfoundland, and Prince Edward Island is becoming more and more foreign owned. And now we got Alberta is the next one on the chopping block. I think next summer, you heard it here first. You start seeing bidding wars in Alberta, not because Albertans are making more money, but the premier province or whatever, the premier of the province would just be selling out, basically, just like every other province did. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Am I just blowing hot air? Do I even know what I'm talking about? Comment below. I'd like to read your comments. If you're in Alberta, Edmonton, and Calgary, please go ahead. Red Deer, just share this video out there, get it out there, and get people out there. And for my friends watching down in Australia, they're picking Canada apart. Canada, unfortunately, Canada and Australia are in the same boat, where they don't have that many major cities in their country to be able to allow people to move around freely. Like in the United States and the state of Texas, I think the state of Texas alone has more major cities than all of Canada put together. That's just in one state of Texas. I think the state of Florida has more major cities than Australia alone, right? Just the state of Florida. So we don't have much of a choices in our countries when it comes to mobility and movability, when it comes to picking up and restarting somewhere else when your entire country has already been bought out. Your whatever existing cities have been bought out. Comment below, share this video, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and thanks for watching.